Hey everyone, welcome to Bookcast 4. Can you believe it's Bookcast 4 already? Wow. Today we're talking about Rainbow Royale Brow's book, Fangirl, that was released back in 2013. It's actually the second book that was debuted by the author, the first one being Eleanor and Park. Rainbow Royale Fangirl is about a girl named Kath who's going to college for the first time and is struggling for many reasons. First of all, her twin sister Ren, who she's been through forever, doesn't want to be with Kath anymore. Even though they're twin sisters, Ren wants to find her own identity away from Kath, while Kath is now ready to find her own identity. Then she struggles with school. And as she's usually doing one of her classes, when it comes to writing, she submits a fan fiction writing, and she's told by a teacher that this is not original writing. She calls it plagiarism because she's taking characters that have already been created, and is stealing. Well, Kath sees this as an original form of writing because she's taking the character that she loves and reimagining them in her own way. And then she's struggling with the fact that her father is not leaving her father alone for the first time because her father deals with mental illness, and her mother reemerging in her life after 9 years when she left the family when she and Ren were only 8 years old. With all of this happening, it's been really hard for Kath, and she struggles. And this is the book Fangirl by Rainbow Royale. So what are the characters in the book? We have Kath, our main character, who's a big fan of the Simon Snow series. Simon Snow is a fictional book and movie world or fandom world in the world of Fangirl. And she's a huge fan and writes fan fiction about two characters in the book. And in the books. As a result, she writes fan fiction and she's really into this fandom. But she is told very early on in the book, like I previously mentioned, that this is not original writing. So Kath, while Kath tries to finish her fan fiction, she's also realizing that she may have to separate her fan fiction writing from personal writings that she wants to write. And that's actually a very easy thing, and that's actually not proven to be very easy for her, as she wants to be a fangirl, but also realizes that she needs to accept that she's growing up and may have to separate from the fandom. Not completely, but she still struggles to figure this path out. She's also dealing with family drama, like I mentioned, her mother coming back, her sister being separated, her father, and this is personal for Kath. And then we have Ren. Ren's actually Kath's twin sister, who's more outgoing, more out there, fits in really easily. And this isn't really Kath's personality. She's more shy into herself, and Ren is more outgoing. Unfortunately, she is also less responsible with actual results. We'll see later on in the novel. And then we have Levy. Levy is actually Kath's friend, later turned boyfriend. Levy's from a farming family and tries to get Kath out of her shell. And then we have Reagan. Reagan is actually Kath's roommate or doormate. And they don't get along at first. Reagan is actually very stubborn and kind of rude to Kath. But they eventually become friends with Reagan actually helping Kath out when she struggles for her feelings for Levy. Then we have Nick. Nick is actually a classmate of Kath who actually starts as a person who tries to make Kath do all the work when they're teamed up for projects to work together. And if you guys work on a project, Nick is actually not doing a good job in the class. And he kind of uses flirtation and Kath's loneliness to her advantage into tricking her into doing the work that she has to do for classes. So we have Nick, Kath, and so that's basically Nick. And Nick and Kath he tries to befriend Kath, but this is all trickery. You'll see that in the novel. And then we have Kath's father, who deals with mental illness, and her struggle to get away from him. While she loves his girls very much, she wants Kath to be more independent and to not always being around him. Because she says that even though he has mental illness, that he's going to be okay even if she's not around to take care of him. And that's very good because you have to go apart. And then we have, of course, we have Kat's mother who reemerges. Now, even though it's very easy for the mother to befriend Ren again, who's actually in contact, Heather's not so forgiving because it's been so many years, and the mother missed so much of her and Ren's life. We also have professors and other minor characters, but those are the major characters that we meet in the book. So, what are some things the novel talks about? We talk about mental illness, abandonment issues, struggles, and more importantly, fandoms. Like I said before, Kath writes about the fictional world of Simon Snow. And Kath is told very early on that this isn't not regular writing because she's writing fan fiction. But she does claim it's regular writing because even though she's taking characters that have already been written and created, she's creating it in her own way, in her own world. So this is actually very difficult for Catherine to understand why this is not regular writing, even though it's something she enjoys. With that in mind, what are some spoilers about the books? Well, I'm not going to say regular spoilers, but there is actually one thing that I think I should mention about the book. You see, Ren and Kath are separate for the first time. And even though Kath is struggling, Ren's doing okay, and unfortunately something happens that Ren isn't cut to go to the hospital. This is spoiler alert for Fangirl. Catherine actually meets her mother again and is reunited. It's really awkward, but Ren realizes that maybe she's not ready and that she's doing a lot of things like not focusing on the classes and more partying because she's still struggling with the fact that her mother is back, but knows maybe that this isn't going to last for long. As a result, this results Ren and Kath to be closer and finally confront the struggle that they felt with their mother's abandonment. And that's very sweet for both characters. It's actually very good because Fangirl is actually kind of a mini universe. Catherine's Rainbow Royale actually wrote 3 companion novels and spin-off novels about in the world of Fangirl. Kath's main just fan fiction story she writes about is called Carry On, and Carry On is actually a spin-off novel that Rainbow Royale actually wrote and published. There's Carry On, The Secret Wayward Son, and then there's a 3rd novel that's being released this year. These are also very popular books among the fans of Rainbow Royale who love to see where this universe is taking place. As for that, we have to see what happens and how many books there are in the series. There's also Magna versions of Fangirl, one being released in 2020, and there's 4 volumes set to be released. With all this being hype for a Fangirl, with Fangirl being so popular, along with Rainbow Royale, other book Eleanor and Park, fans have been asking for adaptations. And while Eleanor and Park did get a screenplay written by Rainbow Royale and it's going to work with DreamWorks. Unfortunately, those rights have gotten back to Rainbow Royale, but we'll see what happens if Eleanor Park were to be released as an adaptation. It's probably only a matter of time before Rainbow Royale's Fangirl, the book I'm talking about right now, will also get released. Again, she's a really popular author among young adult authors, and it's been a and fans have been collaborating for live action adaptation, whether that be a movie or a TV show about her novels. So let's get back to talking about Fangirl. We do get a bit of a love triangle, as I said earlier on, with Nick, Kath, and Levi, but ultimately, with some thinking, Catherine does latch onto Nick's scheme, into using her loneliness to get what he wants, which is not to do his work for him, and ultimately does decide to tell the professor what's happening. And so Nick would ultimately fail the class without knowing that Kath is actually doing all the work for group projects. And she chooses Levi. And this is actually a really nice relationship with Levi because even though this happens around the same time Reagan and Kath start to become friends, she understands why that relationship didn't work out. Like growing up in a small town, coming to college, and you realize you're not alone in the world. That does make sense. And this is how many couples usually would end a relationship when they realize you're not the only people in the world anymore. So we have Levy and Kat, and her relationship with Ren going really well. The novel does end on a good note, but there's actually something you should know. Raymond Royale wrote another book called Landline, and when the main character of that book goes to the airport, we actually get guest stop appearances of both Kat and Levy. And let's just say we noted that Kat is engaged. So possibly we get a hint of what's to come in Kat in the future for Levy, but only time will tell. But only time will tell about this plot point. So that's something you should know about Kat and Levy. Again, this book has been massively critically been appraised. Fans have been asking for film adaptations of this book because it does feature college-age characters, and you do see the struggle of freshman year, leaving high school, and growing up as an adult, as Kat does decide to start writing after she finishes her fan fiction for the first time. She decides she's going to become more serious as a writer and come out and write her own books. And I think it's very sweet of her to actually close down that chapter of the book of her life, because even though that chapter will not be closed forever, that chapter will be a source of inspiration for Kat to grow as a writer and eventually a person. So Fangirl is it's a very popular book. You see it on Tumblr, you see it on Instagram, people writing their own fan fictions or even their own fan art about the character. So Fangirl itself became very popular. It's in its own way, along with Rainbow Royale. Again, this was only her second book adaptation, along with Eleanor Park, and both books got critically acclaimed. So when two of her debut novels became massive critical darlings and fan favorites, it was only a matter of time, but critics began to loving Rainbow Royale's work, and I believe she's a very good author. That's all the time I had today. See ya!